Hi guys! Today I'm doing a video about stamping, specifically about how I come up with colour combinations, how I do gradients and reverse stamping. Alex from Nail Artisan asked that I would do that with these latest Uber Chic plates, which is the set number 25 and the Woodland Chic plate. I did these nails, I'll zoom in, did these nails yesterday, kind of as a practice run to try out plate number 1, and in this video I plan to show plate number 2, plate number 3. I'll do reverse stamping with one of them and a gradient with the other one, and kind of talk about how I'm going to pick colour combinations for each. So if you didn't know, I did an art degree originally, kind of thought I might be an oil painter or an art teacher or something like that, an art therapist. That didn't pan out. It's not for me, but I did really enjoy painting when I did it, maybe more as like an illustrator than a fine artist. So I've come to be a nail technician, and that's what I'm training in at the moment. So please excuse the poor attempt at acrylic nails on this hand. I kind of tried to match them to my natural nails. I'm still struggling. But that's why I think Alex might know that, and that's why she's asked me to do this video. I thought I had a colour wheel somewhere around here from when I did a makeup course that would help me explain colour theory, but I'm going to try and do it with these nail polishes. So if I zoom back in again. First I wanted to show the primary colours. It's like going back to nursery school. Red, yellow and blue. I tried to pick ones that I think are kind of true to the middle of that range of colour. But when I'm picking colours, I'll either base it around a colour, say light blue to dark blue, or brown and mustard and yellow, kind of in the similar colour family. Or I'll pick colours that are next to each other, say I'll pick red, orange and yellow like this, and that would be a really nice gradient, really simple and easy. But what if you want to do red and green, which are complementary colours, but that's too Christmassy? How about switching out the red for a pink? And then, what goes with pink and green? Maybe purple. Do you know what I mean? Like, pick colours next to each other, pick colours that complement each other or really clash with each other, which complementary colours sometimes seem to do. For example, orange and blue. Whoa, kapow! They're exactly they're opposite each other on the colour wheel. So they complement each other, but really I would suggest that they don't complement each other, and that's what's so striking about them. But you could also pick, say there's orange and blue opposite each other. You can also pick colours that are kind of at odds with each other across the colour spectrum. These are the tertiary colours. They're also Halloween colours, right? None of them are directly next to each other in the colour wheel, so they're like spaced out around the colour wheel, right? And that makes them work together really nicely. Am I making any sense? I don't really know if I am. It's also fun to say, oh, you know I want to use pastel colours. Well, what works together in a gradient? What about pink, purple, blue? Because they're next to each other in the rainbow, they smooth together nicely. So pink, purple, blue. And then, oh, well, I want a darker blue, or I want some contrast with it, maybe stamped with a dark blue, or do you know what I mean? But if I'll pick out an image now from plate 2 and then show how I pick the colours for it, because that might be easier to do it that way. This is Uber Chic plate 2502, so set 25 plate 2. I've got the windows open, so it might be a little bit extra reflective and hard to see, but I thought that would give the best light to show these off. So which image am I drawn to? Let's guess. I really like this swirly pattern and the big swirly pattern that matches it. I think I'm going to use these ones, and you can see there's this little matching image that I could do an accent nail with, and the big one and the small one of the same image repeated. I love the repeating images, they're so much fun. She's playing around with ideas like that at first, and then I'll think, have I got any new stamping polishes? Which colours have I not used in a while? Things like that. I might actually have a new orange stamping polish, which I bought from Nail Artisan, that I might use with this image. Okay, so the colour that I'm going to stamp with these images is Autumn Maple by Colour Alike. I purchased this recently, or rather my mum purchased this recently for me when I was feeling a bit down in the dumps, so thanks Mama. From Nail Artisan, where you can buy the Uber Chic plates as well. This is like a deep pastel orange. It's like a terracotta. Terracotta is quite an accurate colour. It was from the autumn range. Like, I don't really keep like a shade selection of every colour of the rainbow stamping polishes. I just, you know, if I see one that I like and I've got the money, I might buy it, or I get lucky enough that some brands send me things. So use what you have, work with what you've got. I'm gonna have a little think about colours. I think I've got my colour scheme. You want to pick colours that will show up with the stamping polish you've picked. Now, Colour Alike polishes are generally really opaque, but I've in any case picked colours that are paler than this kind of pastel terracotta orange colour, and gone even lighter than it is for these ones. And I've gone with the tertiary colours, quite simple. Sometimes I'll pick colours next to each other on the spectrum, say like green, blue and purple, or yellow, green, blue, or yellow, orange, red, or pink, red, orange, you know, colours that are next to each other in the rainbow or a spectrum of light. But this time I thought we'd go with the clashing. So for example, with these nails I've used pink, purple, blue and green, and they're all next to each other in a spectrum, and then stamped with a darker blue to kind of go along with those. Similar idea here, except for tertiary colours. Okay, so you can see that I've started to do the stamping. I've done the bigger image on my thumb and the smaller image here on my index finger. I've decided I'll do the bigger image here on my middle finger and then the smaller image on my little finger, because you'll see more of the detail then. You wouldn't see any detail, you would just see one of the swirls if I put that big swirl on my little finger. It's so small. And then on the ring finger, where I've painted the lilac colour we're using, I thought I would use the swirl image, the separate swirl image that matches the other images, and this go for it image maybe, or what will fit? Maybe just the go for it will fit. I'm trying to think. We'll see what I end up doing in the end. But I'll show you how I stamp. I use the Fabio nail stampers, but I have them in these clear jelly stampers. These are my favourite stampers to use. These two are my ultimate favourite stampers that made me love stamping. They are squishy firm, they're quite sticky, but they're not marshmallow stampers. This one's more like a marshmallow stamper, which is a newer Fabio nail stamper. So if you buy a Fabio nail stamper now, it might come as a more squishy one. But anyway, these are my favourites, and I'll first show stamping the larger image. So we take the deep orange colour called Autumn Maple. With an image with a point in it like this, I would try to scrape towards the point so that the polish gets right into the point of it. Do you know what I mean? We'll see if I'm right. I'll zoom it right in. I've also got the Fabio Nail scraper, just because it's what I had on hand. Just happens to match the stamper. Here we go. Scrape towards the point. There's a little bit of the image, can you see here, that is bold at the bottom there. So I'll probably fill that in with some other polish now myself. I could even do it with the polish that's left on the stamping plate here, so I get a little bit of the excess polish. And if you can see what I'm doing, just fill in that little area so that if that bit gets onto the nail, which I have a feeling it might, the outline is solid. You see that? So for the main circle spiral in the middle, I used this pale orange Purity by Illamasqua. And I'm going to actually use, for this larger image, the larger side, can you see that? The larger side of my dotting tool, because I can fill out a larger area with it. The only bit I really need to be careful is this point here, so I'll drag down into the point to make sure that we get that neatly, and then you can just use the edge to fill it in like so. Just want to add that when I do a full nail decal like this, I try to cover the entirety of the stamping with the fill-in colour so that there's none of that dark orange showing, so that it's even on the nail, you know, so it's not lumpy, and so that all of that stamping sticks, because you'll find that the stamping polish dries much faster than the colour we're layering on like this, and it just might not adhere properly because it's kind of raised then from the nail bed, from the nail plate, do you know what I mean? So fill in all the stamping if you're doing a full image, and then you'll get all of the detail on the stamping. Oh, there we go. So while I'm waiting for the decals to dry, or when they're pretty much ready to go, I'll add a clear layer of nail polish. This is like a slow drying top coat, you know, just the kind that's very, very inexpensive. I tend to buy their own brands from pound shops, or Essence make one that's really good. Any cheaper brand that just has, this one's called Top and Base Coat. I would not use this as a base coat, but it works really well to adhere the decals to the nail. So I'll let that pretty much dry, and they dry quite tacky. If you ever try to use a cheaper top coat that's not a fast dry top coat or like an indie brand, it will tend to take a while to dry and be quite tacky for a while. So when this is pretty much dry, the decals will stick onto it really nicely. We can just press them straight on. While I'm just waiting a few seconds for that clear polish to get tacky, I'll explain that I use the base colour. I used to use white, okay, but sometimes with a fast dry top coat, the stamping will shrink away from the edges and you'll have a white line around the edge of the top of the cuticle end of your nail. Not the look I'm going for. So I started to use the colour. Same with gradients actually, but I'll show that in my next video. The colour, the palest colour, or the colour at the top of the nail. So on this one I'm going to be putting this top of the spiral against the cuticle line. So I wanted peach there so that if it shrinks away it will just look like the stamping didn't quite go to the edge of the nail. Do you understand what I mean? No white lines. Okay. So I'm going to go in and do my middle nail with the stamper now. Place it so that the peach is at the top and push it down. Oh, that's gone on perfect, but there's a little bit of peach showing under the green there, so I'll just fill that in with green. What's great about these Uber Chic plates is they have these chunky images and they're really easy. I would say if you're a beginner at making decals, these are some of the easiest images to use, because they just, you can fill them in with a dotting tool front on and not make a mess of it, because the lines are thick enough. I'll show doing that here. I just get a little bit of green and I'll get it from the brush so I don't make a mess on my stamping mat. Just dot that on there like that. Fill in the gaps. Can you see? And now it's perfect. And what's great about decals like this is, because the stamping's pretty much dry, I can peel this from around the edges. I don't have to clean it off with acetone. I don't have to use liquid latex to mask the skin off. I can kind of push it to make sure it's adhered right up and then kind of scrape away. Can you see that? And I can just remove the excess that way from the skin. Same with the free edge, but I don't think there is any because I got it so exactly to the edge. But there, that's how I will be removing the excess. But first, if I just stamp my little finger with the image, again with the peach at the top. Oh, I didn't put the peach maybe nearest to the top. I might redo that one, but you get the idea. It's really easy to remove the excess from around the edges like this. So I'm going to go ahead and redo this one off camera, because I've realised as well that I've got the green and purple mixed up. On this one it's green, green, purple, purple. On this one it's purple, green, green, purple. Do you see? I got the order confused because I was flustered and it's warm today. But I wanted to show how, yeah, this base is still tacky, so I should be able to stamp the little spiral onto the nail like that. Yay! There we go. And I'm going to do some layered stamping as well. So I'm going to use, because it's easier to fit it on, this You Can image. So I need to clean that off with acetone. I also realised while I was looking through polishes to think what I would do on this accent nail, that I have this pale neon colour like stamping polish that sort of matches the peach I've been using from Illamasqua that's called Tiger. So I'm going to double stamp with Autumn Maple and Tiger. Autumn Maple and Tiger. So first I'll do the deeper orange, Autumn Maple, on the text. And then scrape and pick up. And ooh, while it's still damp, stamp You Can onto the nail, and then I will layer the light orange over. So once again use that acetone pad to clean the plate, and I will get Paper Tiger. It's not Paper Tiger, just Tiger. First time using this colour, but it looks epic. Just a little bit over the text, and then scrape it, pick it up, and I'll want to kind of slightly off-centre it so that you can see the shadow underneath. You see that? Hey, that's come out lovely. I love it. And it says You Can, and it has spirals. Kind of like that there's spirals paired with this phrase, because do you ever doodle when you're trying to solve a problem and you'll doodle spirals? Maybe that's just me, but I like how that works together. I'm really happy with those. So I'm going to redo this one off camera, and then I'll come back for the top coat. Okay, so I finished the stamping. I fixed this nail where I'd filled the image in incorrectly and stamped it too far up the nail so that this orange part wasn't visible, and I wanted orange to be at the top of both so they would match. There we go. I just need to top coat my pinky finger now, this one here. So I use Seche Vite first, which I buy in bulk and fill up the bottle with, so it's always really fluid so that it doesn't smudge the images. Try to do as few strokes as possible and get enough of a bead on the brush that it floats over the nail, that the bristles don't touch. And then once that's pretty much dry, I'll come in with a matte top coat over the top. Get it right up to the cuticle so there are no weird places where it dries bumpy or where it shrinks from the edges. The next video will be with 2503 doing a gradient. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.